All right, so here's our last angle, 12 cosine theta plus 10 equals 3. Where again, we're going to solve this in degrees from 0 to 360. And so the procedure is the same. We're going to isolate the function. We're going to find do the quadrant check. We're going to locate the reference angle, put that reference angle in the appropriate quadrants to get the solutions. So it might be a good idea to go ahead and practice this a bit. See if you can practice this by pause the video and see how far you can get. And then we'll pick it back up and see if I can match the work that you've done. All right, so let's see if I can match the work that you found. So I'm going to isolate. First thing to do is subtract the 10 across. So we have 12 cosine theta is equal to, what is that, -7. Divide the 12 out. Cosine theta is equal to -7/12. All right, so we have isolated the trig function. Next comes the quadrant check. When is cosine negative? When is cosine negative? Cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So we're going to have a quadrant 2 solution and a quadrant 3 solution. So when we find those two values, we're finished. Reference angle. Now the difference is this doesn't come from one of the special triangles. This comes from the calculator. So we have cosine theta is equal to, what do I write next? I do not write negative. Once you've done the quadrant check, you ignore this negative sign from here on out. This negative sign in this problem had one purpose. It is to do the quadrant check. After you've done the quadrant check, you ignore the negative sign. So we're doing cosine theta is equal to 7/12. And so theta reference is cosine inverse of 7/12, which means theta reference is equal to, let's go to the machine. On clear, I have second function cosine inverse, and I have 7 divided by 12, close parenthesis, and I have 54.3 degrees. So my reference angle is 54.3 degrees. Let me show you what happens if you don't omit this negative sign. This is the error that can occur. And this is why you should omit this negative sign or ignore the negative sign when you find the reference angle. If you do cosine inverse of -7 divided by 12, the value you get is 125.6 or 125.7. It is not a quadrant 1 angle. And there's a way to get around it, but it doesn't match the work we've been doing. You need to take something else into account and do some other work. So rather than play that, what we're going to do is this. Once you've done the quadrant check, ignore the negative sign. When you find the reference angle, ignore the negative sign. You will find a quadrant 1 angle as the reference angle, and now take that angle, put it in the appropriate quadrants, and you're good to go. So if I put 54.3 here, and that means I need to take 180 minus 54.3. So this is 180 minus 54.3. And then if I'm in quadrant 3 is my next value, 54.3. Now we need to take 180 and add it back on. So 180 plus 54.3 degrees. And those are going to be the two solutions. So I have 180 minus 54.3, and that gives me 125.7 degrees. Make sure you put degrees. And then I also have 180 plus 54.3, and that gives me 234.3. And that's the solution we're looking for. So if it's not one of the special angles, then you would use the calculator to find the reference angle. Once you have that reference angle, you treat it the same as always. Everything is the same up to the reference angle. use the calculator to find the reference angle, and then afterwards everything is the same after that. So the procedure is very similar, except you use the calculator rather than the special triangles to find the reference angle.